afternoon. Welcome to Mindgram. We're doing this live in order to support people who are close to the Ukraine, either geographically or through familial affiliations or through friends, and people who feel affected and knocked off balance by what's happening there now and what has been happening since Russia invaded Ukraine on Thursday. But before we start, I'd like to share with you what I do best and most willingly, which happens to also be helpful in moments of turbulence. I'm a mindfulness teacher. So I'd like to invite you to a short landing meditation to help us collect ourselves and be here for the time that we have together, which is 24 minutes and 8 seconds, so that we can use it best and be engaged and present for what this moment can bring us. And I hope you find it valuable. So, for those of you who don't know, mindfulness meditations don't require any special positions. You don't have to do anything with your fingers or wrap your legs around your neck or into a pretzel. Just sit comfortably, but if you can, try to keep your back straight and unsupported. There's something that is very dignified about this position, and dignity is in fact the only instruction when it comes to finding the right position for your body before you meditate. Because dignity is usually upright and not sloppy and relaxed, which is important because our bodies and our minds are in constant contact. And if the body is saying, this is not important, or I'm so comfortable, I might take a nap, then the mind has difficulty focusing. And when we are dignified, that changes, and our mind becomes more alert. So, be straight, be loose with your hands, and when you're ready, if you feel comfortable with this, close your eyes, or if you don't, lower your gaze and just soften it a bit. And for the first few moments, just inviting stillness and silence, just to give ourselves a break. And noticing, whoa, what exactly is going on in here? How do I feel right now? What is happening in my body and my mind? And inviting your attention now to rest with curiosity on your head, just feeling the weight of this part of your body. And allowing your brows to soften. And the muscles around your eyes and your mouth to release tension. And letting your jaw hang loose. Inviting also ease and softness to the entire shoulder area. Letting them drop. Releasing your stomach if you have a tendency of tucking it in. And noticing your hands to see if they're busy working, if they're holding tension, if they're maintaining a grip. And if you find that that's true, letting them off the hook to just lie there softly. Releasing any tension that you might feel in your thighs and your calves, where stress likes to tighten and prepare us to fight or flee. And sitting now with this kind of open looseness, just bringing your attention to the fact that this body of yours is breathing right now. Letting yourself feel that without trying to interfere or control the process in any way. The way you're breathing is perfectly fine. You don't need to fix it or change it. Just be curious and watch it happen. And becoming aware of there being a place in your body where you can perhaps notice your breath most vividly. It could be your stomach as it moves up and down. Or your chest as it rises and falls. Or perhaps your nose, with cool air flowing into your nostrils and then gently heated up by your body, flowing out again. Choose a place, the one where you can feel your breathing most clearly, and trying now to gather your attention only to this part of your body as it moves with the breath. Now it could be that as you're focusing on the breath, something you find will distract you. Maybe thoughts, plans, worries, memories, comments, or maybe sounds from your surroundings, or maybe itchiness or tingling or discomfort in the body. If this happens, it's okay. It's part of the meditation and it will happen. So just let it. Notice that your attention has wandered and bring it back without any negative self-talk, without any judgment. Just watch your breath again. And realizing that there's this quality of the breath, that it's always here right now. That you can't breathe a memory or plan a breath. And that by focusing on the breath, you're letting your attention rest, have a break from the thoughts in your head, the tasks and responsibilities of your life, and any other thing. And just letting yourself do this one thing only. Follow the breath. And if you like, you can support yourself in your focus on the breath by counting the out-breath. Count now 3 mindful out-breaths. And at the end of this third, open your eyes and finish the exercise. Thank you for joining me in that meditation. And I want to talk to you now about what's been going on. And by talk, I mean I'm going to ask questions, and if you can respond over chat. There's a slight delay on comments that come from YouTube, but I will see them all. So I want to know, what were you thinking on Thursday when you woke up that morning and realized that Russia had invaded Ukraine? What were some of the thoughts that popped into your head? If you could share them on chat, I can begin to show you a mechanism that's at play. I can't see who's on YouTube, but I can see Adam and Dominika and Patricia and Katarzyna and Caro on Zoom. Ah, yeah, Patricia says, it's really happening in disbelief. I remember thoughts like, I can't believe it. Or those poor people, this is awful. Anybody have that? I remember hearing people describe some of what was going on in their heads and saying, is he going to come here next? Are we going to lose everything? He's got atomic weapons. He's so unpredictable. What's going to happen with all those people? And judgmental thoughts like, oh my God, this is terrible. I don't want this war. Why is there a war? I have a good life. I don't want there to be war. So all these kinds of thoughts appeared in the heads of many of us, particularly those of us who know or love people in Ukraine or who live close by, like I do in Poland. And what that does is every emotional or judgmental thought is like a tractor that's plowing through the mud. And the trail, the tracks that the tractor leaves in the mud, those are like emotions, which appear in particular parts of our body as a result of the thoughts that are plowing through our heads. So some of the things that we were feeling on Thursday, anyone want to share? What were you feeling as thoughts about the war and its consequences and its impact and its influence? What appeared? I think there was a lot of fear. Many people talked about and displayed a lot of concern. Fear for their loved ones, fear for themselves, a lot of anger. How can he do this? How can there be a war in Europe? This is illegal. The world has to stop him, right? So there was this kind of anger and frustration and feeling of being helpless to stop it. Who am I? One little person in Warsaw. What can I do about Putin's great army rolling through Ukraine? So this was phase one, when we had a lot of stress-inducing thoughts, igniting difficult emotions. And then already on Friday, or even Thursday night, no, Friday, the next thing that I saw, that perhaps you experienced or saw yourselves, was that people started to do, to act. They launched into action of various kinds in an effort to help. There was an explosion of money collection, of people as collecting toys for children, collecting blankets, food, medical supplies. And I remember my best friend on Friday after work, she didn't come home. Instead, she went to support a foundation that aids refugees from Ukraine, and she made 1,000 sandwiches. And I don't know how many liters and gallons of hot tea, because the government said that trains were free and that refugees were coming from the border into Warsaw. And so this foundation that is located near the train station assumed that many of them would go there. What ended up happening is that there was a handful of families that went to the foundation and got the help they need and ate sandwiches and had tea, while the rest of the sandwiches and the tea didn't go to waste. They repacked it, they sent it elsewhere. But this story was repeated a number of times, in many instances all across the country, that this urge, this need to step into action, to help, to do something, when this helpless situation, to actually be useful, to push back, it actually ended up not being very well planned and organized. And even though the intentions were good and many people were helped, a lot of the things collected, including money, including homes that were ready to bring, to allow families from Ukraine to live there, remained empty or undelivered. Because this is a characteristic part of how the body and mind react to stress. And before we get into that, I want to see, we are now almost a week into the war in Ukraine. And I want to invite you to share with me where you are in terms of energy level. Okay? So if you're feeling pumped, I want an 8 or a 9, maybe a 10 even. But if you're feeling a little bit less energetic or normal, that's a 5. If your feet are starting to drag, if you're having trouble concentrating, that's a 4, a 3, sometimes a 2. Where are you on the scale of having access to your full capacity, to your full potential right now? I'm waiting to watch your comments. Thank you, Patricia. I see that you're at a 5. Roberto's rather low. Katarzyna's a 4. Adam and Alexandra are 3s. I'm seeing a lot of this, you guys. I asked my mother this question today. I got a 2 as an answer. And a lot of people are starting to feel drained. And a lot of this can be explained in terms of a hangover. You know, stress is a great mobilization of the body to face a tough situation. It gives us energy and gives us speed and helps us hyper-focus, right? Was it difficult to think about something other than the war on Friday for you? Were you reading the news all the time? Refresh, to see what has happened? What's going on over there? Can I get a yes from those of you who were really focused on the news flow? Yeah, Kato says, capital letters, yes. I was definitely there with you. I think many, Thursday and Friday, Patricia was, of course, many of us were experiencing that exact same thing, glued to the news stream and thinking, oh, what's going on? How can this happen? And so the interesting thing about the brain is that it's not as smart and wonderful and complicated as maybe we would like it to be. A large part of it is absolutely ancient and relies on instinct. And this part of the brain is responsible for activating stress. It's the old part, in the central part, buried deeply in our brains. And this part of our brains can't tell the difference between what we read in the news and what's actually happening to us. Which is why we enjoy movies, particularly those with a happy ending. It's why some people enjoy porn. It's why we love a good love story or an adventure. Because while we are engrossed in that content, it's happening to us. And the same thing is happening when we are addicted to our news stream and watching and reading and listening and downloading news about the war. Our ancient brain thinks we are on the front. We are being bombarded. And that maintains a really high level of stress and gives us this energy to react. And a lot of us use this energy to help out, to do something, to get it out of our systems, because it's actually pretty uncomfortable to have this much energy. And another thing that happens is that in order to help us face whatever threat is causing our stress, the mind develops tunnel vision. We get this hyper-focus when we're stressed. And that means we can't stop thinking about the war. or the argument we had with our mother, or how our teenager is acting up. We tend to, when we're stressed, become very narrow-minded, which is why it was so difficult to stop reading the news. And every time we read another piece of news, our mind thought we were at war and provided us with another wave of nervous energy. But there's a limited supply of this energy that we carry inside us and can develop or can renew. It actually is a renewable resource, but we need to dig it out. So what happens to most of us today, now a week in, is that we're experiencing a slump or a stress hangover because we've already used up our supply of nervous energy, and now our battery or our tank is empty. And that's normal. Don't worry about this. It doesn't mean you're sick. It doesn't mean that you won't get your energy back. But it does mean that you need to unplug from the news stream and create conditions for renewal in your life right now. Because stress in and of itself is useful and healthy, but becomes dangerous and detrimental when we don't turn it off, when it lasts too long. When we do turn it off, the body has natural mechanisms that will fix all the stuff that got used up or broken by stress. But in order for that to happen, we need to A, turn stress off, and B, stay free of stress long enough for that repair crew to do its work. So my advice to you for the next, I wish I could tell you how long it's going to be. We don't know how long the war will continue, how it will end, but my intuition tells me that we're in for a marathon, not a sprint. So what we need to do is rationalize our energy so that it lasts as long as we need it to, so that we can continue to help, so that we can continue to do our jobs, so that we can continue to support our families, and so that we can make good decisions. And when we are stressed, driven by fear and excessive energy that we can't always control, those decisions tend to not be our best ones. So unplugging from the news stream is not something I recommend doing indefinitely, but maybe selecting one time of day to sit down and watch the news and update yourself on what's happening. Maybe it can be in the morning, maybe it can be on your drive home from work, or maybe after dinner at home, the evening news, but try not to do it right before bed. Because since our ancient brain thinks that the news is happening to us, it will activate the stress response and make it difficult for you to fall asleep. And even if you do, because you're really tired, because you're at a 3 already at 5 p.m., and by the time you hit the hay, your energy will be practically gone. If you are stressed, it will wake you up at night. So you're going to get up tomorrow morning without having rebooted that battery. So see if that would be possible to update yourself on current affairs once a day, not all day. And the other thing is to block out time that is stress-free, like a mindful stress-free break. Of course, one of the ways to do that that I rely on myself is mindfulness meditation. And if that first meditation was helpful for you, go ahead and look into the Mindspace library. There should be more mindfulness recordings there. Or make use of the rich resources of the internet. There's great meditations on Insight Timer, on Headspace, and Calm. Use them. But also, if you don't feel that this is something that is helpful for you right now, it can be hard to learn to meditate when you're stressed. Try sports. making your body really, really tired, like breaking a sweat and losing your breath, is a perfect way to reset your body and turn off the stress response. Because the body can't maintain stress and a huge physical effort at the same time. So it's the perfect reset. But if you're not into sports and you don't like meditation, does that mean you're doomed? No. It means you need to find another activity that is fully engaging for your mind. If it can't be engaging for your body, let it engage your attention fully. So if you love to cook, do that. If you love to tinker with your car or make something out of wood, whatever your passion is that allows you to free your mind of concerns, do it. And don't let yourself do it while thinking about the war. Leave the war and all your worries and concerns and strategic planning at the door and engage in this activity that you love in order to let your body repair itself and rejuvenate your energy level. This can also be reading a good book or watching your favorite series with your friends, as long as your mind is engaged. So those are the two best pieces of advice I can give you to allow yourself a break so that you can rebuild your energy. But perhaps you'd like to understand how to also help yourself not engage in reactive thinking that leads to unplanned, unstrategic action. Like those 1,000 sandwiches that my best friend made, that there weren't enough mouths to eat. How can we keep that from happening? Well, that requires what a lot of leadership programs called stepping off of the balcony, or the dance floor, and onto the balcony. So taking a step back. If I could ask my pal Adrian to show me the slide I have prepared for you, it's a slide that shows the two types of thinking that our minds are capable of. Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize-winning economist and psychologist, described this dichotomy of thoughts in his famous book, Pułapki Myślenia. That's the Polish title. I'll come up with the English title as soon as I remember it. But what he described is that we have kind of automatic quick thinking, which is the direct, quick response. It's like the first thought that pops into your head. It's the first association you have. It's the first judgment you make. And this kind of thinking is based on experience, it's based on intuition, and it's also based on biases and shortcuts. And it often leads us into trouble. It's what made so many Poles rush out to help without really having a plan. Now, thankfully, we have this second system of slow thinking. And the second system, the first one being more associated with the older part of the brain, and the second one with a newer, modern brain, it requires effort. You need to actually, this is what happens when you say, hey, I need to think about this, and you actually do it. It's when you're analyzing a problem, when you're trying to understand context, when you're collecting perspectives, when you're planning. Oh, that book by Daniel Kahneman is Thinking Fast and Slow. So to engage in this reflective thinking, you need to step away and notice the reactive thinking. We are capable of doing both, but the fast thinking requires no calories, so we're prone to it during stress. Therefore, if you find the space to de-stress and you limit the triggers of stress during these times of war, you will grow your capacity to activate slow thinking, to make a better plan, to not react but respond. And today, my best friend from the 1,000 sandwiches is collecting money from huge supermarkets and delivering a systemic food response to the border. We all need this break from reaction so that we can meet this challenge with all of our potential and our gifts, so that we can all get through this war and help each other along the way. Thank you for joining me for this webinar, and I wish you all the best. Freedom to the Ukraine. Take care.